We are using 322 times 34. When using method 1, we need to break up the 34 into 30 and 4, into the tenths and the units. We then write 322 times 30 and 322 times 4, thus proving that we broke up the 34 in 30 and 4. To simplify the sum even more, we break up the 30 into times 3 times 10. So it is easier for us to get to the correct answer. If we say 322 times 3, we get 966. We write times 10 and we continue writing the rest of the sum. We now multiply the 966 with 10 and we get 9,660, and we continue writing the rest of the sum. We've basically now said 9,660 was 322 times 30. The last part of the sum, 322 times 4, gives us 1,288. We write our x because we're reaching the final answer. When we add the two numbers together, we get 10,948. This sum is worth 5 marks, showing us you've multiplied it by 30 and by 4, and then the answer for multiplying it by 30, which is 9,660, the answer for multiplying it by 4, and the final answer. So it's 1,288 and then 10,948. 572 multiplied by 18. For Zoleka's method, we have to break up the 18 into its smallest factors. I'm going to start off using 3 times 6. 3 times 6 is actually not the smallest factors. I must still break up the 6 into 2 times 3. Then I get 2 times 3 times 3, which gives me 18. You could have also started with 9 times 2, which will also give you 18. Again, the 9 is not in his smallest form, so it needs to be 3 times 3 times 2, because 3 times 3 gives you 9. And you will see 3 times 3 times 2 also gives you 2 times 3 times 3. So, doesn't matter which startup factors you use, if you break them up into the smallest ones, you will get the correct answer. Now we start to multiply. 572 times 2 will give us 1,144 times 3 times 3. Then we simply multiply from left to right. 1,144 times 3 gives us 3,432 times 3, which gives us 10,296. Remember to write your x, showing it's your final answer. We will give marks for the smallest factors and then for all of your answers when you multiplied the number with the smallest factors. So times 2, times 3, and then lastly times 3. 1,352 times 32. We start by writing our two numbers on the left hand side at the correct place value underneath each other. We start by multiplying the 2. 2 times 2 gives me 4. 2 times 5 gives me 10, and I take the 1 over. 2 times 3 gives me 6, added to the 1 is 7, and 2 times 1 gives me 2. Now I have to multiply with 30. Because we are saying 3, we need to write a 0. Then we can start multiplying. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. I write down the 5 and I carry the 1 over. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus the 1 gives me 10. I write the 0 and carry over the 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 1 gives me 4. Now I simply add the numbers together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 0 plus 6 is 6. 7 plus 5 is 12. I write the 2 and carry the 1 over. 2 plus 0 plus 1 is 3, and 4 stays 4. I write my final answer underneath my sum, 43,264. I've done my calculation on the right. You will receive 2 marks for the answers between the lines. Because you multiplied with 32, which has 2 numbers, you will have 2 lines. You multiplied 1,352 with 2 and then with 30. 345 multiplied by 24. Again, we are going to write the numbers underneath each other. 345 times 24. We are again starting with the 4. We are saying 4 times 5 is 20. Now we write out the full number, and in brackets we write out our calculation. 4 times 40 is 160, and 4 times 300 is 1,200. We are writing the exact values of the sum. Now we move to the 20. We don't have to write a naught because we are multiplying with the correct number. 20 multiplied by 5 gives us 100. Then we move to the 40. 20 times 40 gives us 800. And lastly, 20 times 300 gives us 6,000. When we write our answers, we must make sure it is underneath each other. Then we add up all the numbers. 0, 2 plus 6 gives me 8. 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 8 gives me 12. I write down the 2, carry the 1 over. 1 plus 6 is 7 plus 1 gives me 8. Our final answer, 8,280, which we write underneath the sum. The marks for this sum will be given next to every answer. For each answer you will receive half a mark, but you must write the brackets to get that half a mark, and then 1 full mark for the final answer. 756 times 23. Again, we have to break up the 23 into 20 and 3. So 756 times 20 plus 756 times 3. This is the same start that we used with method 1. The difference now comes in when we also break up the 756. We are going to break it up twice because we need to multiply it with 20 and with 3. So 700 times 20 plus 50 times 20 plus 6 times 20. We have thus multiplied the whole number with 20. 700 times 3 plus 50 times 3 plus 6 times 3. Let's recap. we have broken up the 756 into 3 parts, and again 756 into 3 parts, and multiplied it by 20 and 3. Now we do each of those 6 sums. 700 times 20 gives me 14,000. 50 times 20 gives me 1,000. 6 times 20 gives me 120. Plus 700 times 3, 2,100. 50 times 3, 150. And 6 times 3 gives me 80. You can now decide how to group the numbers together in order for you to add it up. I'm going to add 14,000 with 1,000 and the 2,100. Then I say it's 17,100. Then I'm going to add the last 3 numbers, 120 plus 150 plus 18, which gives me 288. By making these 2 groups, it just makes it simpler to add up. And now 17,100 plus 288 gives me 17,388. You can decide on your own grouping. How will we give marks? We will give marks again for each of your individual answers, starting at 14,000, then 1,000, 120, 2,100, 150, and 18, and then 1 mark for your final answer. Grade 6s, when you do the methods, just follow the steps. When you do the exercises, you may turn back in your book and look at the methods while you are doing it. In a test, we will give you the method and you just have to apply the steps. It's also very important to check your answer. Work backwards and make sure you get to the same answer. Remember, the teachers are here for you. It is very difficult to explain these methods over a video because usually we would interact with you and you can ask questions while we do the examples. So, please don't hesitate to phone or WhatsApp us.